Hi everyone, thanks for watching Trexpat. In this episode, I'm leaving Sri Lanka immediately as fast as possible due to the economic and fuel crisis gripping the country in the last few months. Fuel shortages, electricity cuts, hyperinflation and devaluation of the currency, nationwide protests, curfew orders, martial law, curtailing of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and social media. It just got a little bit too much, so I had to leave. But how did we get here? Let's start from the beginning. I mean, Wi-Fi was always bad, but 4G was also bad. And that really wouldn't be an issue in itself, except that Wi-Fi is not unlimited in Sri Lanka, so you pay by the gigabyte. What is this, 2004? So that made it hard enough to work and do video calls, but then I had to also position myself in a hotel room that had 4G coverage. But then January 2022, and we start getting our first power cuts.
The Sri Lankan Minister of Energy held a press conference yesterday saying there would be no power cuts. This is not needed for the next foreseeable future. There's enough reserves and water to make hydroelectric. Fast forward not even 24 hours. It's 88 degrees, it's 1:30. I'm in the capital city, Colombo. Power cut. And this is my current battery status where I have to work a full-time job on the computer.
I had to schedule my day around an unscheduled power cut schedule. And here's the line at the gas station. Is this the 70s? Nope, it's the 2020s. Oh, you thought the line ended. Oh, yeah, no. So the government has had to get creative. I will say this is pretty pragmatic because one country is sanctioned so it can't use cash and the other country can't even afford to buy cash. Want to see what happens to your foreign exchange rate when that happens and you can't afford foreign reserves? Oh yeah, this goes from 200 to 250 in the matter of a few days. So my vacation effectively got 25% cheaper. However, you get what you pay for. Have you ever had to do a video call in Sri Lanka? Here's how it goes. So you can't use Wi-Fi, so you have to use 4G. You're always nervous that it's going to cut out. You have to make a hotspot, but make sure that your phone doesn't overheat or you lose connection. You can't lose battery power or else you drop off the call without any explanation like a weirdo. You can only do a certain number of video calls using your computer a day. Light illuminating your face is from the screen, so you look like a creepy stalker in your basement taking this call. There's no fan or AC, so you're overheating. The AC is not a big deal, but the fan is because there's mosquitoes which have dengue fever and Japanese encephalitis, and you can't see them because there's no light, and there's no fan to keep them at bay. And then we have the Russia war, which will push up food prices and oil prices. Currently, half of Sri Lanka's tourists are from Russia. I've only seen 2 Americans, and that was at the international airport. So making an argument that America is the cause of the war and offending locals is a hard sell. So how are the people coping with this? I mean, these are some of the nicest people ever. However, they're getting a little impatient. Salaries haven't increased, but prices have increased by 2 or 3 times what they used to be. Furthermore, the currency is 25% less than what it was. People aren't just mad at the government, they're mad at each other. It's just an all-around deteriorating situation. So then start the protests. Here are some of the headlines, and these are not local. They made international news. So in response to the protests, the government imposed a curfew and later introduced martial law and banning of all social media, including Facebook, WhatsApp. So just in the time I was in Sri Lanka, the country has descended from a democracy to a full autocracy. And on that note, I think it's time to start thinking about leaving. So I had my flight picked out, not booked yet, but then I started packing and preparing all my money to last for the next 5 days. Then as I was eating dinner in a restaurant, I realized the flight that I was planning to go on was canceled and they only have 2 flights a week now. The next one leaving in 12 hours. So without even finishing my meal, I threw down money, ran out of the restaurant, packed up all my stuff, didn't even stay, and caught the next bus all the way to Colombo, which is 6 hours. At midnight, I flagged a tuk-tuk to the airport. I have extra Sri Lankan money because I was saving it for the last few days of my trip, but since the currency is worth nothing on the international market, I went straight to the airport ticketing counter and spent all my remaining money on the cheapest ticket anywhere not in Sri Lanka, which happened to be the Maldives. But of course they didn't make it easy to leave. I had to stand in this 2-hour line, frantically worrying about whether I'd make the flight or not. Thank you, Sri Lankan Airlines. Luckily I made it and I'm on my way to the Maldives now. Sri Lanka is such a nice country with such friendly, nice people. You feel so bad for them. So after 2 months, it's time for me to leave. Bye, Sri Lanka. Thank you. I'll be back.